보시다시피 명상하고 입을 다무는데 처참하게 실패했습니다. 그리고 며칠 소리를 안 내봤자 그러니까 나도 책을 안 읽는다는 슬픈 사실을 알게 되었습니다. 나는 나이가 몇 살인데 아직도 보여주지 않으면 공부를 하지 않는가 라는 자아 성찰과 함께 책을 읽기 위해서 이것을 찍습니다. 그리고 누구신지 모르지만 제 채널을 어째서인지 보고 계신 분들은 제발 부탁이니 뭐죠? 알람 설정인가요? 꺼주시기 바랍니다. Please turn off your notification because so that I can feel free to spam. I mean, I don't mean to spam you guys, but I just don't know how many things I will put up for myself. So I don't want to bother you. So switch it off, please. Okay? Nobody deserves this much attention. Okay. Let me read. I'm gonna... Yeah. So I decided to read this. The Intelligent Woman's Guide to Socialism, Capitalism, Sovietism, and Fascism. And it says, show. I didn't know he wrote such a thing. Book is such a strange thing, isn't it? Okay. To my sister-in-law, Mary Stuart, Column Monthly. The intelligent woman to whose question this book is the best answer I can make. Wow. First edition, 1928. Yeah, I don't read this long beginning. Yeah. Yep. Let's get to the point. Where? Okay. The Intelligent Woman's Guide to Socialism, Capitalism, Sovietism, and Fascism. A closed question opens. It would be easy, dear madam, to refer you to the many books on modern socialism which have been published since it became a respectable constitutional question in this country in the 1880s. But I strongly advise you not to read a line of them until you and your friends have discussed for yourselves how wealth should be distributed in a respectable, civilized country, and arrived at the best conclusion you can. For socialism is nothing but an opinion held by some people on that point. Their opinion is not necessarily better than your opinion or anyone else's. How much should you have, and how much should your neighbors have? What is your own answer? As it is not a settled question, you must clear your mind of the fancy with which we all begin as children, that the institutions under which we live, including our legal ways of distributing income and allowing people to own things, are natural, like the weather. They are not, because they exist everywhere in our little world. We take it for granted that they have always existed and must always exist, and that they are self-acting. That is a dangerous mistake. They are, in fact, transient makeshifts, and many of them would not be obeyed even by well-meaning people if they were. Not a policeman within call and a prison within reach. They are being changed continually by Parliament because we are never satisfied with them. Sometimes they are scrapped for new ones. Sometimes they are altered. Sometimes they are simply done away with as nuisances. The new ones have to be stretched in the law courts to make them fit or to prevent them fitting too well if the judges happen to dislike them. There's no end to this scrapping and altering and innovating. New laws are made to compel people to do things they never dreamed of doing before. Buying insurance stamps, for instance. Old laws are repealed to allow people to do what they used to be punished for doing, marrying their deceased wives, sisters, and husbands' brothers, for example. Laws that are repealed are amended and amended and amended like a child's knickers until there's hardly a shred of the first stuff left. At the elections, some candidates get votes by promising to make new laws or to get rid of old ones, and others by promising to keep things just as they are. This is impossible. Things will not stay as they are. Changes that nobody ever believed possible take place in a few generations. Children nowadays think spending 9 years in school, old age and widows' pensions, votes for women, and short-skirted ladies in parliament, or pleading in barristers' wigs in the courts are part of the order of nature, and always were and ever shall be. But their great-grandmothers would have set down anyone who told them such things were coming as mad, and anyone who wanted them to come as wicked. When studying how the wealth we produce every year should be shared among us, we must not be like either the children or the great-grandmothers. We must bear constantly in mind that our shares are being changed almost every day on one point or another, whilst the Parliament is sitting, and that before we die, the sharing will be different, for better or worse, from the sharing of today, just as the sharing of today differs from the 19th century sharing more than Queen Victoria would have believed possible. The moment you begin to think of our present sharing as a fixture, you become a fossil. Every change in our loads takes money, directly or indirectly, out of somebody's pocket, perhaps yours, and puts it into somebody else's. This is why one set of politicians demands each change and another set opposes it. So what you have to consider is not whether there be great changes or not. For changes, there certainly will be, but what changes you and your friends think after consideration and discussion would make the world a better place to live in, and what changes you ought to resist as disastrous to yourself and everyone else. Every opinion you arrive at in this way will become a driving force as part of the public opinion, which in the long run must be at the back of all the changes if they are to abide, at the back of the policemen and jailers who have to enforce them, right or wrong, once they are made the law of the land.
Todd bent over and picked it up. Judy, he said, I'm afraid I'll have to keep this ring for you until the end of... Oh, no, I read the page. The Sleeping Speller. That night, Judy... Frank, I already read that. What is it? Okay, I just need... Oh, there. Nobody can predict the future, said Frank. Can they? Yeah, said Judy. It says right here. Books don't lie. Let me see, said Frank. See? Jane Dixon, the famous American fortune teller. She was some lady, Washington, D.C., who started into her eggs one morning and predicted what's President?
President?
President of President
Oh.
and earthquake is in Alaska. It also says she predicted that Martians would come to Earth and take away teenagers. I wish that would happen to my big sister. If only Stink were a teenager, said Judy. Look, it says her here that Jane Dixon lady sussed up in whipped cream, said Frank. I've seen stuff in whipped cream too, said Judy. Lots of times. Like what? Like chocolate sprinkles, Judy said, and they both cracked up and looked as it, said Judy. This book can help us with our spelling tests. For real. No way. See, this guy, a bald?